Welcome to the Everyday Board Game Podcast with Daniel.
And Daniel.
Good morning, Daniel.
How's it going?
It seems like we're kind of back for a little while, at least for a couple weeks.
Yeah. Well, we're going to keep recording while you have the time off. But we're also going to still record when you start your new job. We just don't know what the recording schedule itself is going to be.
Right. We're probably going to jump to an evening show, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it'll probably be easier for you.
Yeah. But then I think, if anything, we're going to be doing multi-recording, like one day a week, but then we'll film multiple episodes. Because our friends over at the Tabletop Bellhop, they film for hours, but they only do once a week too.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, I agree. It'd probably be better for us in a long sense. It gives me more time to edit the videos and put them up on our YouTube channel, as well as editing the audio podcast version of it, making it a little more streamlined and sound better. And we are still working on the sound and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we're getting there, slowly but surely. We're just trying to grow and get the right equipment in. And
exactly.
We started this basically because we were on lockdown.
Yeah, it was a good excuse, if anything, right?
Yeah, we've been talking about it, and the lockdown basically just gave us the excuse to do it.
Exactly. One of the goals with our podcast now that I feel like we really have been trying to bring out is we want to have a board game podcast that is not like anything else. We don't tend to ask questions that are pretty obvious. And I feel like this one is a pretty thought-provoking question.
I think so too. For everybody that's listening, this is a Chits and Giggles podcast format that we're doing this recording. We'll be doing a top 8 debate Thursday, right?
Yeah, this upcoming Thursday.
And so this one is an interesting topic that you brought up that we were like, okay, let's do it after the Halloween episode. And that is, what are your favorite games that you don't own? And I thought that was a very interesting topic.
Yeah, it's because... And I wanted to know why people didn't own them. And I'm curious. Some of these we'll probably be able to guess.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to speculate because a lot of people just put the names of the games and never clarified why. But I also didn't say to clarify. But I know we're going to explain in all of our picks why we don't own it yet. And I add yet on purpose.
The caveat for mine that when I came up with my 6 games, my honorable mentions, and my actual top 3 games. The top 3 games are something that I'm going to seek to go and buy.
Yes.
The honorable mentions are some that if I got them, I would be happy to own them, but I don't really need to go seek and buy them because of different things. Like for some of them, a couple people in the group, our normal game group that we get together to play with, own them.
Right.
So there's no reason for me to go out and own, but I really, really love these games. And another caveat I threw in is that I couldn't previously own the game.
Yeah. And you're smiling because we talked about this a little bit. There is one example of a game that I used to own that I'll get into it when we get there. I'll just throw it as my number 3 honorable mention, and I'll explain why. But I don't currently own it for a reason. So we'll go into that. It's kind of like a little cheat, but I do have other games that I know I would just want, and they were up there for anticipated games. But however, one of the clarifications or one of the caveats to my list, and I think you were the same, is I had to have played these games, and I have played every game that's on my list.
Yeah, that was another rule that I had to play. I can't be thinking about something in the future, like when we were talking about our anticipated games earlier in the year.
Right.
I said Pendulum.
Yep.
I hadn't played it yet, but I was anticipating getting it.
Right.
But this time, these are games that I've played and I've fallen in love with and I want to own. And in fact, Twilight Imperium 4th Edition would have made this list if I hadn't played it and then went out and bought it.
Yeah, exactly. And I was thinking, as far as anticipation goes, I'm really excited for Cloud City, because I don't own that yet, and the new Phil Walker Harding game, and I really want it. Really want it bad. As soon as I find it for sale, I'm buying it. So, it's going to happen. But I haven't played it.
And as always, before we get started, well, not as always, but today is a very important day in the United States of America.
Yep.
And so I wanted to go out there and say, I'm not telling you who to vote for. I don't care what you do. What if you haven't voted yet? Get your butt out to those polls and vote. If
Yep.
you're listening to this later on YouTube or on our podcast channels, thank you for voting if you did.
Yep. Yep. That's all we're gonna say. We don't take politics into our podcast, nor should. I mean, it's about board games. It's about having
Yeah,
fun. Who cares
yeah,
about
exactly.
politics, right? No, yeah, no, agreed. If you voted, thank you. If not, please do. If for some reason you can't, we understand. There you
Yeah,
go. With that being said, though, Daniel, I know you haven't played many games lately, but I've played a few that I want to share with you guys.
sounds good. Yeah, I haven't played much games in the last, what, 5 days that we,
Right.
we last recorded?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played much, but there's one specifically that I did want to bring up, and that is Hocus Pocus the game. I played it on Halloween with my wife. Actually, my kids did not play it. I think they would like it. It's basically cooperative Uno. I've played games like this before, but what sets us apart is you have 5 piles, and there's 5 different ingredients and 5 colors. The idea of the game is you're trying to get certain combinations of the cards, the tops of each of the piles, to match either all the same color, all the same symbol, or all the same color and one of each symbol. Or I'm sorry, that's vice versa. It's all of one ingredient, but all 5 different colors.
Yeah.
And that was at first that was a little weird to me, like because on top of each pile you can play a card that matches this ingredient or the color, Uno style, right?
Yeah.
Um, and you're trying to cast spells on or stun the three Sanderson sisters, the witches,
Yeah.
in order to stop them. If you're able to do 3, and before the game is over or before you run out of ingredients cards, you win. And it worked pretty well. But there was something weird that I noticed about it. So one of the sisters is just all the same color. One is all the same ingredient, and then the main sister, I forget her name, uh,
Winifred.
Winfred. Yeah, she requires the same thing as Mary. Right, Mary, is that her name? Uh,
Is it the blonde one?
no, the other one. That's Sarah.
Oh, yeah, Sarah and Mary and Winifred. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So Mary requires all the same ingredient, same as Winifred, but Winifred has to have each of the 4 colors. So you're thinking it's like, well, that's another layer of difficulty to hit in order to stun her versus why wouldn't I just stun Mary, right?
Yeah.
And I think I know why. When they are stunned, you don't enact their spells. Like so when a bad spell happens that can affect you,
Uh-huh.
whoever is stunned, you just ignore it if you have to draw it. So if Mary is stunned, I draw a Mary card, I ignore it, whatever. I'm thinking Winifred, and I don't know this for sure, has much more difficult spells and much more
Well,
punishing.
if I haven't played the game, so I can't tell you if this is true or not. But she is the main witch, so
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised because she's the one that reads from the book that has a lot of the powerful
Yeah.
spells. So I'm assuming her spells are going to be a lot stronger and much more deadly.
Right. Right. And that's what I'm assuming too. Now let's go in. It's a really fun game. I had a fun time. 30 minutes, enjoyable. You already know how to play mostly. There's a couple other things like with the Binks token and whatever.
Yeah.
But Daniel, you and I are colorblind.
Yeah, that's why I've been hesitant about buying it. I do want to own it because my wife loves her Hocus Pocus,
Yeah.
but those card colors are a bit hard from what I've seen on videos.
Purple and blue are near identical for me. However, here's the thing. The background does have slight different design to it. I think either purple or blue, one of them is lightning bolts and the other one is like spider
Oh,
webs. But it's not super
okay,
obvious. It's enough where at first glance you should be able to see it. It's
okay,
not super obvious though.
okay. I'll have to look into it, but yeah, I'm probably gonna end up buying it because, like I said, my wife really loves that kind of game,
Yeah.
or loves the movie, and it seems like simple enough where we could play just hanging out.
Yeah, it's not bad. I did enjoy it. It's definitely a Prospero Hall.
Yeah, and as you
100%.
said, I didn't really play many board games in the last 5 days. I've read some rules for like Fallout Shelter and some other stuff. Mainly just spent like the Halloween weekend with my wife. We watched spooky movies, played Animal Crossing, and a little bit of Pokemon, and just hung out.
Cool. Yeah, I had a nice relaxing day. And the other
Yeah.
game I wanted to talk about was one I actually played last night for the first time, and that's from our friend at Smirk and Laughter. Or I'm not sure. I think it's under the Smirk and Dagger title.
No, I think it's under the Smirking Laughter.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Either way, it's called Cinder, and it's a brand new game from him.
I'm jealous. I really do want to play this game. It looks so much fun.
It was really fun. The idea of it is very simple. You are a fantasy character. I actually played the Moon Elf from Dice Throne because
Say that again. You broke up a little on me.
I played as the Moon Elf from Dice Throne.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was my character. My wife was a fox. And then in the game, she played as a fox. No. and then, and then our mutual friend Trevor, he played as, oh, what was it? Oh, a unicorn, a rainbow unicorn.
Okay.
And so you put your likes and dislikes, and then you put your stats, and basically you read these like absurd descriptions of the dragons you're trying to date, and you're trying to find ones based on their description, which ones match those categories the most. And so mine was like stable. They like to live in solidarity. They like to hibernate because it's a moon elf. You know, it's like it's got
Yeah.
to be like all that, right? And so I tried to find the dragons that were the most or most apprehensive. You know, like based on the description. It's super silly, completely over the top. And then it's like and then it's basically kind of like zombie dice is how you roll. It's a push your luck dice game. Uh, However, we learned of a rule a couple rounds in, and I got Piff the dragon on my team because of course, right? Uh, but my wife, in the game, you can steal dragons from other players and put them in
Oh
your
yeah.
dating circle, and so you can spend essentially two love points or two victory points, and you can attempt to date somebody else's
Dragon.
dragon. Yeah, and so she did that, stole Piff from me, like was and that's the sad thing, it gave me no chance to, like it was no benefit to her, like she wasn't gonna win, she didn't have enough points, it wasn't possible.
But she wanted to steal your love, huh?
She did that purely on the morals of it, and that was hilarious. It brought in that brought in the backstabbery that we expect from Smirk and Dagger. It was so good. This is one that I'm probably gonna have to pick up.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I really do want to try it. But there is one more game that you should talk about that you busted out finally.
Which is
The one that you played with your son.
Gloomhaven.
Yeah.
Yeah, haven't I talked about that already?
No,
I
I
don't
don't think you
remember.
talked about it last week because I think it was after we filmed.
Okay, well then let's fix that now. I brought out Jaws of the Lion with my son. It's been an incentive. He's been wanting to play like a dungeon crawl style board game. We have so far played the first three scenarios. We've won every one except for the last one. We did fail, and that's because my son, playing as Hatchet, he went all Leroy Jenkins, running straight into like in between all of like this, like these monsters. I'm not gonna. I don't think it matters. Spoilers, right? They're vipers.
Yeah,
Um,
it's fine.
Vipers and weird monks and whatever. They came and swarmed him, and my character, the Void Warden, is all about making other characters attack, whether it's enemies or allies.
Yeah.
And when he died, I looked at my hand, and I lost because of a short rest. I lost one of my fast movement cards, so I could only do short movements, and everything else I had could only make other allies attack. So I had basics the entire time. So I
Oh,
was like, all right, I can't win this scenario. My son died. His character died. There's a treasure chest over there. I might as well just go for it. It took me 4 turns to just walk over there. The monsters were all cleared out. It took me 4 turns. I had to do like 3 short rests just to get to the treasure chest. It was pathetic. So we're gonna try that one again. In the rulebook, it kind of says that once you've made your decision on what character you're gonna be, you can't really change your mind. I might still do that because the Void Warden seems like it's way better for just a group.
Yeah, no. So I'm doing the solo play of it. I haven't played it in about a month or two,
Yeah.
but I need to bust it out. But I'm playing as the demolitionist in Hatchet because I've always have a tendency when I'm playing like RPGs and stuff like that, whether solo, video game, whatever, that we need one range character and one tank character
Yeah.
at minimum, just
Right.
to take care of everything. And
Is
then
the
you run a healer and stuff
demolitionist?
like that.
Would you
Huh?
say the demolitionist is the tank or the ranged?
No, the demolitionist tends to be the tank because it's all about up close and battle, and then sometimes they'll throw other stuff out there. But yeah,
Gotcha. Okay.
I think the demolitionist is the tank of the four that's in the box set. The Void Warden is like the Dark Mage, and I think I can't remember what the fourth one is, but I think that's like the healer.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. Yeah. I was originally trying to go for the healer, which is why I picked Void Warden, but I was like,
Yeah,
it's
I'm
either the
not
mage
sure.
or the
I
healer.
have it right over there, but I can't see because I got it sideways.
Yeah. I can't believe I didn't talk about this yet, but yeah, me and him are gonna get back into it and hopefully do a lot better this time. I don't want to drop it down to level 0 monsters.
So you did talk about it, just not on the podcast form. I think you talked about it in our group chat.
Oh, okay. That's fair. Cool. Yeah, no, oh my goodness. I'm glad to finally play it because I've had this since last year. Since December of last year, I've had this big box. And we've played a half game when you showed me
No,
how
no,
to
no.
play it.
You played a full game. I just had to leave halfway through.
Oh, okay.
It's because you were
Yeah,
playing. It was
then I
you,
did
me,
finish it.
and our mutual friend Jim were
Yep.
playing. But the wife had to leave because I think she was on call or something like that. So we had to head out.
Oh, I see. Yeah, and then but that's the only time this box has been opened, unfortunately. And
Yeah,
so
because
I want to fix that.
we played Gloomhaven while the wives watched Harry Potter with the kids.
That's right. Oh man, that was a good day. That was a very good day. And now my son is more into Gloomhaven than Harry Potter, so that's a win. Oh
All
man.
right, sounds
Cool.
good. So you want to get into the people's choice?
Yeah, let's do that. So we asked our viewers, what are the best games that you do not own? And like I said, I wanted people to clarify why they didn't own it, but I guess
You
it wasn't
forgot to
obvious.
add that part.
I forgot to add that part. Well, it also wouldn't make it look as pretty on the Facebook thing. I like to have the big giant post with the question. Uh, so we could jump into this. Is Jerry your first one, Daniel?
Yes, it is.
Okay, why don't you start us off?
Well, Jerry says Empires of the Void 2. And I actually like this game. I have played it. It is a 4X game in a sense. If I remember correctly, it's part of Ryan Lockett's series of Red Raven games.
Oh, okay.
I had a really good time playing it. Our mutual friend Dom owns it. I don't think you were playing with us that one time we played
I
it.
have not played this one. No.
This was when we were playing, I think, at our other mutual friend Bryce's house, but you had to do something. You couldn't make it to that Friday game night or whatever it was.
Oh, okay.
And so, yeah, I had a really good time. The only problem with this one, and I mean, you got it in Twilight Imperium too, but the dice rolls seem just really, really lucky in this game when you're trying to do certain things. Like, I couldn't, for the life of me, get things to protect myself or any of that matter.
I see.
Twilight Imperium, you have to do warfare, but you don't necessarily have to do warfare
Sure.
to move things along. But other than that, I really did enjoy this game.
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, Ryan Lockett is one of those designers that I've never disliked anything that he's made, but I do enjoy it.
And just back to the Empire of the Voids, Ryan seconded it. That is something he also is wanting to own.
Yeah, cool. All right. Katia put It's a Wonderful World as one of them.
That is not one I have played, but it is on my want to play list.
Yeah, I don't see it anywhere around for sale around here anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's, it happens.
Yeah, I've looked into it, I've heard of it. It's like a deck builder, or I can't even remember, but I remember seeing it and going, hey, that looks interesting, I want to try it. Just have it.
And now I'm going to notice that most of these are within the last year or two.
Yeah, so, and if I remember correctly, I think Wonderful World was a Kickstarter at one point, so...
Oh, okay.
I know the expansion was.
This next one...
by Alice, says Kingdom Death Monster.
Definitely a Kickstarter.
Yeah, that's one of those grandiose. Gloomhaven so Tainted Grail stuff.
Yeah.
All that sort of stuff is really big Kickstarter. King of Death Monster was like the biggest Kickstarter for a while, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the
I
highest
believe.
highest money earning
Yeah, I
until.
believe Frosthaven just dethroned it.
Yep.
Right? It was King of Death Monster that got dethroned.
Yep. That's it.
Uh, it's an interesting concept of a game. I understand why people really, really like it. It's just not something that catches my fancy. I do enjoy anime, but this just doesn't like. Attack on Titan I didn't really enjoy, and
Yeah.
this is along that darker, creepier side of anime that just not something that intrigues me anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't blame you. I wonder if it's just if it's the hype train that makes that so enticing cuz we heard so much about it because it broke all those records.
Yeah, it was the third highest Kickstarter ever, and that's
Yeah.
with all the tech stuff and stuff like that. It was sitting at the third highest.
Yep. Yep. But it's just a board game.
Yeah,
And
don't get me wrong, that's impressive, and people love it, and I enjoy it for them. But it's just not something that intrigues me.
yeah, agreed. And Napoleon says Pipeline and Eclipse Second Dawn.
So
Pipeline is huge, from what I understand.
I've never played either one of these games, but Pipeline is
Right.
something I'm intrigued by.
Yeah, it's like a really big, heavy Euro game.
Mm-hmm.
I hear that there's another heavy one from the same designer that uses pipes. Uh, yeah, it's like a factory one now. So
And then Eclipse Second Dawn, I've heard of this one. A lot of people have talked about it. If I remember correctly, our friends at Tabletop Bellhop has said
Mhm.
this is what they prefer to that 4X space game, that Twilight
Oh,
Imperium
sure.
and Eclipse and stuff like that. So it's something I'm intrigued by, but I have Twilight, so
Yeah,
do I
exactly.
want to buy another major one? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and also, I mean, same thing. It's also pretty new. I believe that's the Second Dawn is the second edition of Eclipse, which
I
Eclipse
believe
has
so,
been,
yeah.
huh?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It it's a game that's been out for a little while, but it's not exactly. You'll see why my list differs a lot compared to a lot of these.
Well, if you look at a lot of these, from what I'm just going through here, a lot of these have some Euro mechanisms in them,
Hmm.
but they're like a blending of Ameritrash with Euro mechanisms. And this one, the one I'm about to talk about from Mikey, has none of that. This is
No,
straight up an Ameritrash style game, and that is Nemesis has to be number one for him.
do you think?
I agree. Nemesis didn't make my list. I like the game, but we've talked about it the last two podcasts.
Yeah,
I enjoy it. It's really good. It does give you that alien feel. However, it can overstay its welcome, and it's a game I really don't need to buy because our mutual friend has it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's almost like I wonder how many of these games, if if like let's say a game that you own, how many of them that I need to own also because I don't know that I have groups outside of our group that would appreciate the game the same way.
Yeah, and that's another reason why this list was a little hard for me to make because it's
Hmm.
like I don't need to own these games because they're out there. I'm gonna
Yeah,
play those with them. I know I can be like, hey,
right.
I want to play Nemesis. I'll ask Don to bring it. He's always down to play that game. So
Yeah, very cool. Super.
why you
AJ,
got to drink coffee in the morning?
I know I don't drink caffeine in the morning. It's weird. AJ says Russian, German, American railroads. Those are older games. Finally, someone who has an older game in here. Finally.
Not familiar. I've heard of them. I'm just not familiar with them.
Yeah. All right.
So
Cool.
the next one on our list here is by Lane. They have 3 games on the list. I own every single one of these
Yep.
games: Terraforming Mars, Wingspan, and TI4.
Yep. All very big games.
All very good games. Terraforming Mars is a great game about just what it says: terraforming Mars, being the best corporation that makes Mars a habitable planet for the people. I have a great time with it. I have most of the expansions. Wingspan, another one of my favorite games. In fact, it's probably my second favorite Stonemaier game at this point. I still really love viticulture, but Wingspan has really grown as much as I played it. And I love birds, so I'm a bird guy anyways. This has really flown up there for me. And I just,
I see what you did there.
And I just got the Geek Bits for it from BGG, their store. Oh my
Yeah.
god, those are phenomenal Geek
Yeah,
Bits.
that's
The sad
exciting.
part is I got the newest expansion on pre-order, so I'm gonna have to get new Geek Bits for the new food source that's coming in the game.
Yep. Yeah, you are.
And the TI4, I've already talked about this enough. I loved it so much, I bought myself a copy.
Yeah, you did. I still need to try it. You need to show me it. Michael said, and I want to point something out. How much is the retail cost for Wingspan? Is it 55 or 60?
I think it's like 55, 60, yeah.
Okay. He put Kingdom Death Monster, TI4,
Which,
Scythe, Gloomhaven, Wingspan, Nemesis, Warhammer. Which Wingspan is the least expensive of all of those. I think I see where he's going.
so Kickstarter, Fantasy Flight,
Yep.
Kickstarter, not Kickstarter, and then Warhammer is just a massive. So my question is it Warhammer the board games that have just been coming out like Shadespire, or is it Warhammer the big battle miniatures that you spend thousands and thousands of dollars on?
Probably both. Which is why he doesn't have it yet.
So, out of those that we've already talked about, Kingdom Scythe, another good game by Stonemaier Games. Actually, if I remember correctly, Scythe was their last Kickstarter.
Yeah, it was, I believe.
Really good game. I enjoy what's going on. We may talk about it a little later.
Oh, okay. We'll have to see.
So, the thing about Gloomhaven, what hasn't been said at Gloomhaven since we started this podcast?
I'll tell you what hasn't been said about Gloomhaven yet. I really like the shade of blue on that cover.
Wingspan, Nemesis, and of course Warhammer, a game that both of us are not really too familiar with.
Yeah, I've played it. But yeah, I'm not familiar with it. But it's a lifestyle game. Absolutely, you need thousands of dollars to really get into it, and you have to have a dedicated group. That's the thing too.
Yeah, the dedicated group. And I've noticed that Warhammer isn't as big as it used to be.
No.
Warhammer used to have like game shops were kept alive by Warhammer and Magic the Gathering.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And now, I mean, Magic, Magic to a degree, yes. But I don't know. Yeah, it's just
Warhammer just kind of dropped off. I think more people got into the modern board gaming. It just got too expensive.
Yeah.
A lot of the people who played Warhammer also played Magic, and then they started getting families and stuff like that. And it's just cheaper to stick in Magic. It's not as expensive as, say, going into a Warhammer, making sure you have all the armies and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. It makes sense.
So then Mike says, "Glory to Rome."
Glory to Rome. Yeah, another big Euro game, I believe. Yeah. Or no, is that in Dudes on a Map?
I honestly don't know. I'm not familiar with Glory to Rome.
I think it's a Dudes on a Map area control.
Is Glory to Rome that card game that was really big? It's
Carl
in that
Chuddick.
Box.
Yeah, Carl Chuddick, I think.
I think so, yeah.
He's the designer. I think you're right, and if I'm not mistaken, I've heard that he's actually stated that he's not working on that game ever again.
He's done with that. He washed his hands of that game.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's a lot
of royalty issues not royalty, but like who holds
licensing
the rights to it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's kind of a shame, but that something like that had to happen. But it did, and it is what it is. Joe says Clank Legacy, and
now here's
yeah, this we already have something to say about this. I feel Joe doesn't own this because he doesn't have the group ready, not because he didn't buy it yet. Because it's not that expensive. It's like $60.
Yeah, it's not super expensive.
Yeah, it's
and
not
the thing
cheap.
Is, it would have made our list but one thing, we haven't played it, and another caveat that I put on my list is I don't count legacy games because I would have put Patrol Legacy on this list, but I already played it. So what am I going to get out of it by owning it myself?
Yeah. Well, I mean, some of those legacy games you could play again.
Yeah, but I mean, it would be cool, but I just think I don't see the purpose of having a legacy game after I've already played it.
Right.
Certain ones, yeah, Charterstone allows you to play the game afterwards. Have you played it afterwards?
No.
Have you busted out your Patrol Legacy after we beat it?
Don't you still have it? Oh no, I think I have it, don't I?
No, you took it back when we defeated it.
I'll be honest, I don't know where it is.
my
Oh,
question's
yeah.
answered. And the
Okay.
thing for both of us is that we do one of our mutual friends, the one we just keep mentioning, Dom. He owns that,
Yep.
so we'll get to play it eventually somewhere down the line.
Yeah, once we're done with Rise of
The two
Queensdale
current
and
ones,
Risk Legacy.
the two current ones we're in right now.
Yeah, exactly. Uh, yeah, that was Joe. I do agree. I think that is lack of group that
Yeah,
that
I
causes
think
that
that's a
one.
big part of it is a lack of group.
Sure. Okay.
Jake says PAX Pamir Second Edition. I have heard of this game. I've never really delved deep in it. I've heard it's really good though.
Yeah, it looks cool. I like the cover. It has a very beautiful like ornate font type. That's the only thing I know about it though. Other than it's a fairly new game, which is also probably why it's
Well, it's not
anticipated.
fairly new. It's just newer because it's the second edition.
Right, right. But I mean that I still feel like that's one of the biggest factors in this. All right. Omar says Kingdom Death Monster.
I'm gonna see a trend on this one. It's gonna be a lot of Kickstarters that people missed out on.
Uh-huh. Yep,
So
the
Lyle
FOMO.
says Terraforming Mars, Zaya, Swords and Sorcery, and Hiroshima Hex. I've already talked about Terraforming Mars and how much I love that game. Zaya is something I have looked into.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's a sandbox science fiction game.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
That
what I've heard too.
so intrigues me. I've looked at it. I looked a couple times on Amazon and other game shops and stuff like that. So I'm intrigued. I may buy it. I may pull the trigger one of these days. I really love Western Legends as a sandbox game, so I can imagine if everybody talks about Zaya, how it's a really good sandbox game.
Yeah.
Sword and Sorcery, I know nothing about.
Sword and Sorcery is another like I mean it's a play on the idea of Dungeons and Dragons, Sword and Sorcery,
Yeah.
S and S, but I believe it's not from Mythic Games, I don't think, but it's from one of those companies that do Kickstarters, and it's fantasy dungeon
What is
delve.
the one that the Vlado Chotto did with mages
Vlada
and
Chivado?
what? Huh? Yeah.
I don't know, to be honest.
I can't think of it. I just know everybody talks about that one as well.
Yeah.
But they're saying like the cleanup and the chitsiness of it, but it's still a good solo game. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, why not? And then
Hiroshima
Hiroshima
Hex,
Yeah.
I have played the app version of it. It's an okay game. It's just not something I'm interested in.
Yeah. Yeah, at first it looked almost like more abstract, which is why I was intrigued by it, and then it was like, oh wait, no, this is pretty rich in theme. Nah, I'm alright.
The app's fine. It's fun. It's not something that intrigues me. I don't like those kind of combat heavy style games.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I think Stratego in a sense with
Sure.
it being ramped up in theme, but yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Vincent says Terraforming Mars.
And Dean follows that up with TI4.
Yep. I feel like we've heard those before. Anyway,
Yeah.
Steph says, I could have said Triumph and Tragedy, but I finally got a copy of that great game last week. Well, way to
That's
brag,
cool.
Steph. No, I've never played
Nice
it.
humble brag. But no, good for him.
Yeah.
Games are meant to be played, and if that was one of his Grail games, then good for him.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's a great term. The Grail games. Like these are the ones that have like they're on the hierarchy of games that you need.
Yeah, that you want, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Derek says, Terraforming Mars, Rising Sun, Empires of the Void, and Brass. Now, he didn't clarify which Brass, but I'm going to guess Birmingham, because that's the highest rated one on BGG.
Sure.
I own every one of those games except for Empires of the Void 2.
Yeah. Yep. Another.
Rising Sun is probably my favorite. I prefer that one over Blood Rage. I just really, really dig that game. And I love Blood Rage, too.
Right. Yeah.
Plus, I love the art style, and I love the Japanese lore, or the Asian lore, the South Pacific, and stuff like that. And then Brass Birmingham is a very good game, but I haven't played it a lot lately because my wife does not like it.
No, that's a shame. But I mean, it's good you don't force her to play too.
Yeah.
All those are Kickstarters, if I'm not mistaken. No, Empires is not a Kickstarter. Terraforming technically was. Was Brass?
Sort of. Originally, Terraforming Mars was not. It was the most recent. Big Box was the Kickstarter.
Gotcha.
Where you could get the 3D printed molds and Big Box to store everything in it, and everything has a place in it, and stuff like that.
That makes sense.
That was the Kickstarter.
Okay. Gabriel says Clank Legacy, Too Many Bones, Dwellings of Everdale, Alma Mater, and Barrage.
Quick clarification. I just remembered some of the expansions were on Kickstarter for Terraforming
Oh,
Mars
okay.
too.
Yeah. Too Many Bones, massive Kickstarter game. I
Yeah.
Have you played it yet?
No, I have not.
Don't.
I want to try it, but
Don't.
that's the chip theory one, right?
Yes. I like Chip Theory. I like those guys. I like what they do. I like the concept. The game wasn't good. I
Yeah,
I
but you
know I'm
say that
alone
about
on
a
that.
lot of games.
No, because well, that's the thing. I didn't get hyped by the Kickstarter for it. Like I didn't
Yeah,
care.
yeah, yeah.
It didn't seem that great. I've played it. I played it in a live demo, and it's convoluted. It's not very fun. It doesn't do anything too new. Like that, sure you upgrade your dice and get some skill. Yeah, okay, that's cool. Everything's dice. Everything's lucky.
So
Like
Alma Mater and Barrage, I've never heard of.
Alma Mater is a new. It's a really neat cover. It's a new Euro game about the the university. And Barrage is, from what I understand, a really heavy Euro game that's coming out. Or no, it's an economic game. So if you like stuff like Power Grid and you want to go way harder, I've heard Barrage is like your go-to. But like,
Oh,
I'm not saying you like Power Grid, but I'm saying like if you love like the heavy economic stuff
yeah.
where it feels
I
like if you stub your toe you're gonna explode, like that level of intensity. Yeah,
So I'm not gonna lie, Dwellings of Everdell was one I did want to kickstart. I just couldn't at the time because there was other Kickstarters
sure.
going on that I backed. Luckily enough, our mutual friend Dom once again backed this Kickstarter, so I will
Yes.
eventually get to play it.
Yep. Yep. Couldn't agree more.
Wade says Nemesis, Too Many Bones, in Terraforming Mars. Again, another one of the Too Many Bones. I know you weren't a fan. I still do want to try it just to see how my opinion,
Okay.
because we've established we do have similar tastes, but we also vary at
Yes.
different points.
Yeah. It's just I agree. Next convention we go to the Chip Theory booth. Go try it. Learn. Know for yourself. But I don't know. At the second hour
Honestly, I
of our
just gotta
demo.
ask Dom if he backed the Kickstarter and if he's getting that stuff in, and then I'll just play his copy because he backs pretty much everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Poor guy.
Must be
Anyway,
nice not to be married.
I know. Being married has its own benefits. I don't
No, I
know,
know. I'm just talking about all the board games he gets to buy.
but he does get a lot of board
Me
games.
and Daniel over here like to tell Dom that we live vicariously through him.
Yeah. Right. Uh, Kevin says Scythe and Dwellings of Everdale.
And Amy follows that up with Scythe, Gloomhaven, and Terraforming Mars.
All right. So this next one from Heidi.
I really like this one.
Okay. She has one in here that, had I thought of it, it would be on my list. I'm gonna call that out.
Same with me.
Yeah.
And I can tell you exactly which one it is.
I
I'm not
wonder.
going to say the name, but I'm going to say it's the third one.
Same here. Wow. Okay. So she has Broom Service, Orleans, Rajas of the Ganges, Yokohama, and the Isle of Cats. First off, thank you for like a completely different list. None of those are Kickstarter. Yokohama, I think, had the deluxe Kickstarter, but
Yeah, well, and a lot of those are like Euro games.
they're Euro games, and you could tell that that's definitely her style
there
of
is
games.
a Kickstarter on there. The
Yeah.
very last one's a Kickstarter.
Is Isle of Cats a Kickstarter?
It was a
Oh,
Kickstarter,
okay.
yep.
Okay, that makes sense. No, Rajas of the Ganges. Have you played it?
Oh, yeah, I played it at the shop with, I believe it was Nate. I think he's the one that owns it.
Oh my, yes, he's the one who showed me. Oh my,
So good.
Yeah.
There's so much going on, and at first you're just like overwhelmed, but then once you figure out how the game works, you're just
Yes.
like, oh my god.
Yep. No, that honestly that should be on my list. I don't know why I didn't think of it, but it's an
Probably because we
amazing
played it
game.
the one time at the shop, and we're kind of blocking out the fact that we can't go to the shop.
Yeah. Anyway, so no, I think you're right on that. All right.
Orleans, I have played. It's a decent game. It's not my favorite game in the whole wide world, but
Yeah, it's okay.
I do enjoy it. Broom Service, I remember you and me playing that one. That was a fun game. I
Yeah.
was not expecting that. Basically, a pick up and deliver. You know, which it just keeps making me think of Kiki's Delivery Service.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, the
God,
Miyazaki
Studio
film.
Ghibli.
Studio
Huh?
Ghibli, yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah, so I
It's up there. Yeah, I like it's a good pick up and deliver. I like the actions that you can take in it, like how they you can all you only take the action until somebody takes the really good action. Like that, I love that
Right.
idea. It's super cool.
Let's see. What else did she put? Yokohama, I have not played. I do want to try. I've heard good things about it.
Yep.
And Isle of Cats, you're gonna avoid that like the plague.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't need to be cats. Like that's what frustrates me about that. What? Why does it need to be about cats? Like, I mean, you're putting down polyomino tiles. Like, I'm not saying Barren Park is thematic, but like people didn't make it because like, oh, people love bears. You know, like that's
Bears,
a big
yeah.
thing. Like, no, they didn't care. They're like, all right, that theme works. We get it. Like,
And
Isle of Cats is playing because people. I'm not saying it's not a good game. I don't know. I've never played it.
I
But
do want to try
why
it
does it have to be cats? Like,
because Cats
why?
had that nice little big push for a little bit during board
Wait,
gaming.
they
I mean,
have
you had
that
your
nice
Kitty
little
Kitty.
big push. What does that mean? Clarify.
Well, you had like there's themes that kind of run their course. Cats was one of those themes.
Yeah. And see that tells me it's like that could have been about shipping various weird sized items like oh like Christmas gifts. It could be on a sleigh for all it matters. You know, there's a lot of things that it could have been, but they're like, "Hey, let's instead of making this game solid as a unique theme, let's find what everyone will buy. It might as well be zombies at this point. Like it doesn't matter. Like who
But see,
cares?
zombies was so last year. What the new in is cats.
Oh, I mean, why not unicorns then? Because
Well, that is the new big one. So yeah, no,
that
I
was
can see
getting up there. Like it didn't need to be cat. And then people are like, oh, like the cat lovers are like, hey, these like cats lie and they're basically liquid because they just weird shape themselves. Like, so what? That doesn't add to the theme of this. You're going to an island with cats and you're shipping them back because they're weird shapes. That doesn't make sense. Like you like it because you like cats, don't you lie?
Daniel, your cat bias is showing.
Is it?
So
Now
finally,
I've heard it. I've
Sean's.
heard it's good. I will try it, but I will hold that against it if it doesn't make sense and
Remember
it's
when
cats.
we had exceptions to the rule? This might be the second cat game you like.
It might be. I mean, in all honesty, from what I've heard of it, it looks like it's an all right polyomino game. But like I said, if the cats like that's gonna draw away from it, if the cats aren't there thematically, like take the new game from AEG Calico.
Yeah.
It's like cats don't care what they lie on. They don't care what color quilt that they're like. They're gonna tear it up because they're jerk animals. Like that's what they do. Me and my wife. This is I'm ranting. I know, but me and my wife just bought a new couch, and we got one, and I'm like, man, we dropped a lot of money for this couch, and I know as soon as that cat sees it, I tried to pull the caveat. I was like, we could buy this couch. This is the perfect couch for us. The cat lives outside now, permanently. You put the bowl out there. Like, I don't want her tearing it up
Yeah, no, I
because
don't
she's
get
a
you.
jerk animal.
Me and the wife have been couch shopping. That stuff's expensive.
It's crazy expensive. If you need a couch, I know someone who's selling their old couch. Anyway, we'll talk later.
No, I'm good. I don't need a new couch that bad. We want a new couch.
Oh, fine. I'll tell you where to go. I'll tell you where we bought ours. Good people. All right, so let's go on to the next one.
Oh,
That
the
was a
last one
tangent.
that we haven't got to is by Jean Samuel, and that is Anachrony.
Yeah, I that one. If I had played it, I assume it would be on my list because I
Yeah,
really
same
like their
here.
stuff.
I like the concept of what that game is doing.
Yeah,
Borrowing from yourself in the future, worker placement. That's all. Well, the borrowing from the future is not really my jam, but worker placement is my jam.
yeah,
I own a plethora of worker placements because that's my favorite mechanism. But
yeah, yeah.
I think
Exactly.
one of our mutuals is getting this game. I'm not exactly sure who is, but I do want to try it.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. We did actually have one more comment 48 minutes ago that popped up. Nakano
Sure.
said Spirit Island.
Yeah, that's one I want to try.
Yeah.
I've heard good things about it. I've heard bad things about it. I want to try it before I make a decision myself.
So, Daniel, I have a question for you.
Oh, yeah? What's that?
Why you like cats so much? No, I'm just kidding. how many
I
of the?
don't mind cats.
I know we've had this discussion before. No, the actual question is how many of yours were listed?
Uh, one.
One. Wow, that is one more than me. As always, I apparently went obscure.
Oh, you
So
always go weird. So
I do. Would you like to go first, sir?
yeah, 1 second.
Take your time. Just hurry up.
Well, I'm actually getting a phone call right now.
Oh, do you need to step out and take it?
No, it's a scam. That's what it says on my phone
Oh,
anyway. So
fun. I bet they're trying to sell you cat stuff.
no, they're probably doing robocalls for polls.
Oh, yeah. As we said earlier, it is election day, so that one final push might as well.
Yep.
Looking
So
looking forward to that. All right.
going into our honorable mention of games that we love that we do not own.
Yes.
And my first honorable mention here is based on a book series.
Dresden Files?
Nope.
Ooh, okay. Dune.
No. Though I do want to try
Um,
Dune Imperium. That game looks really good.
yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen anything about it because I don't want to get interested in it. Uh,
So it's based on a book series by one of my favorite authors, which is Brandon Sanderson.
Brandon Sanderson. You know, if I read, that name would sound familiar.
Oh, when I tell you what it is, it's going to sound familiar because I'll tell you this. Our mutual friend just put it in our group chat. He just received his copy of it.
Oh, I don't look at that. No, I just forgot which one it was.
This
Go
one
ahead and
is
tell me.
called The Reckoners.
Ah, the Reckoners. Yes,
Uh,
that's right.
in fact, I played this game before I actually read the series, and because our mutual friend Dom and Bryce were telling me, hey, read the book series. And because you'll get a lot of what's going on in this game. You don't have to, but you'll get a better understanding. They had a lot of inside jokes about certain characters. I'm like, I want to know these jokes, so I finally decided to read the books. And boy, howdy, I'm glad I read the books because they are phenomenal books. And now the game makes a lot more sense to me because of the world, because I've read those books. I know who this character is. I know who that bad guy is. But what's interesting about that as well is that some of the characters that they have in there, like the bad guys that you got to fight,
Uh huh.
were barely mentioned in the series of books to begin with. They're just like, we just need more stuff for this. But they are. It's very thematic to the characters of the books and with their abilities and stuff like that.
Okay.
My one issue with this game is that it's a tough co-op game. That's fine. Co-ops can be tough, but it's also very lucky because a lot of it has to deal with dice rolling.
Uh.
But other than that, it doesn't detract from the game itself. I really enjoy it. I don't need to own it. That's why it's in the honorable mentions, because as I
Yeah.
mentioned before, both our mutual friend Dom and Bryce in our game group own it. I
Yeah.
just don't see why I would need a copy for myself.
Sure. That makes sense. All right. Yeah. Good pick. I still haven't played it. I've seen it set up, and it looks impressive.
It's a very impressive looking game.
Yeah. I just I always look at impressive looking games and go, I wonder. Critical.
And then
I
you have a good time with them.
Yeah, then I enjoy them. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, it's a solid game. There's a few of them on here that are like that. So, my number three honorable mention I mentioned earlier, which is one that I didn't mention it directly, but it's one that I used to own, and I sold it because I backed the Kickstarter for the Epic version of it, and that's Dice Throne.
Yep.
Yep, I had to do it, and the only reason it's in my honorable mention is because, I mean, had I not sold it, I would still own it.
Yeah.
So, and I agree with you with your argument. Originally on the short list was Treasure Island. That's what I had before, and that is one I don't own.
Yeah, because
I've only played the
the
demo.
one copy that you played is owned by the shop that you
Yeah.
teach games at.
Yep. Yeah, and it's a wonderful game. But Dice Throne, it's freaking amazing. I'm looking forward to getting my mega copies. I'm gonna clear out some room on these shelves, and I can't wait. But yeah, Dice Throne is amazing, and I'm
Oh,
looking forward to it.
I had a good time playing Dice Throne. I've only played it one or two times. I've had a good time playing it.
Yep.
But again, it didn't make my short list because I'm not as enamored with it as much as you or some other people in our
Right.
group are.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy playing it. If you say, hey, let's play this. What I am interested though is the fact that the newest expansion that you did or the Kickstarter that you did
Co-op.
is co-op.
Yep.
I do want to see how they made that work because I love the battling of it.
Yeah.
how you battle each other.
Yeah, it's
I want to
Yahtzee
see
and
how the
Magic.
co-op works.
Yeah, me too. I'm looking forward to it a lot.
So, I forgot to look this up, but my number 2 game on my honorable mentions here, I forgot it's a small gaming company. The first time I ever played this game was at Dice Tower West. It had just finished its Kickstarter. In fact, I saw it on Kickstarter. I wanted to back it, but I needed to save the money for our trip to Vegas to Dice Tower West in 2019. And you have played this game. Our
Okay.
mutual friend Bryce owns it. We had a great time playing it.
All right, so let's see here. A game that
It's
Bryce
a
owns.
cooking game.
Oh, Kitchen Rush. Yeah.
No,
No.
Rival Restaurant.
Rival Restaurants. Ah, I was close. Yeah, that's right. That was silly.
It's a silly, fun game. It's a really fun party game that involves a lot of shouting and trading. It really
Yep.
is. It's like, hey, you're over there. I really need that alien goo. I'll give you this and this like eggs that I have over here for that alien goo.
Sure.
I'll give you the money for it in this recipe card because I don't need it. Basically, what you're trying to do is be the first person to get 20 likes because it's all about social media.
Yeah.
And getting on your Yelp reviews and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So getting 20 likes, you become the winner. It's like I said, it's a really fun party game that mixes like pit with trading, while you're screaming and shouting. But that's only a small part of the game, and then you're making your recipes. You're trying to get stuff to help you make your recipes a lot faster. You get more points, but you also got to mitigate your garbage
Yeah.
because every meal you make gives you a lot of garbage. A lot of times, there's a lot of trading. Be like, hey, and there's a guy's special ability. He's like, hey, buy me that. I'll give you the money for it, but if you don't buy me that, I'm going to throw my garbage over towards you. This way, you can't get as many likes as you want because you got too many garbage. So I love the fact that there's that negotiation.
That's so spiteful.
Talk things out, but you could be like, hey, if you don't do that, I'm going to send that garbage to you.
That's silly. I remember that part of it. That was really fun. I don't remember what I thought about it. I think I did enjoy it. I don't think
liked
I'd
it.
buy it though.
Yeah, and like I said, it's not for everyone, but I enjoy it a lot. It's by a small gaming company again. They just had another Kickstarter for an expansion that did really well.
Cool.
I enjoyed it. I just haven't backed it because our mutual friend has it, and if we get together with them, it's one of the games that comes out all the time. So
Yeah.
I get my fill when I want to play it.
Yeah. I have a good feeling that you're going to be able to guess my next one.
Oh yeah.
And I will give you one very simple hint. You own it. I don't. I want to change that.
Would that be Merlin?
Yep. There it is. Check. I've talked about it ad nauseum so far. If you're listening to our podcast, you know how much I enjoyed Stefan Feld games, how much I want every one of his games in my collection. I was this close to buying the Merlin Big Box with Coco Pelli with the newest Kickstarter, but I just can't justify another €100 added on top of that right before Christmas. Can't do it.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah, but I will eventually get Merlin. Next convention I go to, if I see it for sale, that it's mine for sure. I need it in my
should be
collection.
getting the big box here relatively soon myself.
So that big box, is it a full base set, or is it?
I think the big box that they were selling you was the full base set. The one I'm getting is just the box with the Morgana expansion in it.
Gotcha. Okay, so I was about to say, if you're getting another base set, I know someone who wants to buy the base set from you.
So yeah, the one I bought was just Kickstarter was just the big box with the expansion that was the actual Kickstarter.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. No, I liked it a lot. I like everything he makes. I want it all in my collection, and
Yeah,
that's
no, I hear you.
that's the one that I've played that I don't own yet. So I need to fix that.
No, I get you. It's a really good game. It's probably up there with one of my favorite Felds. He made roll and move very interesting because you have 4 dice rather than just 1 dice, and you're going around a little circle clockwise. This one is like, no, you can do this, you can do this. If you go this way, it's got this action. Oh, but you can also mitigate it by spending this, turn this dice into this number instead. It's like, what are you doing?
You fixed it. Yep, you did good.
Yeah, so it's phenomenal. I really enjoy the game.
Cool. And so that was my number 2 honorable mention, and that's because you own it.
My number 1 honorable mention was not mentioned, shockingly. I guess a lot of people own it because it's not super expensive. It's just hard to find sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'll give you this hit. It's a flippin' right.
Oh, okay. You have cartographers. Is it Welcome To?
Yeah.
Okay.
Welcome To is a flippin' right that I do want to own at some point, but it's not something that I really need to go out of my way for.
Sure.
And the reason being is because it was my favorite But because of cartographers and a lot of the playing I've done of cartographers has just skyrocketed to my favorite, roll or flip and write.
Yeah.
But Welcome to is right there. I really do enjoy it. I love the fact that it's a very simple game. If you're plugging in numbers, you just got to make sure you're going in ascending order. You're being smart. So if I got to use that 8, I kind of want to put it somewhere towards the beginning middle rather than just straight middle or back in middle. You just want to be smart where you put that number.
Yeah.
Because you have to play off of it either way. So
that makes sense.
I also like the fact that you got 3 numbers to choose from. There's 3 different areas that you can do. You can do it in a pool. You can do it in the palm trees. You can do it here. You can do it there. If you use this, you get to increase it up to or down to or however you want, making the number that you need. I love the mitigation of it, and there's a lot going on. It's a bit fiddly when it comes to the final scoring, in a sense, because you're trying to figure out how and what works and the special gold cards. But honestly, I think it's a neat game. It's really good, with a little bit of fiddliness. But yeah, I think Welcome to is a phenomenal flipping right.
Yeah, there's Welcome to the new version, Welcome to New Vegas or New Las Vegas
or Las Vegas. Welcome to Las Vegas. Yeah,
that's available on Board Game Arena now to try out. So maybe we should try that out.
We should check that out. But I think Welcome to is a phenomenal game, and I really enjoy it.
And my number 2 honorable mention, the only reason I don't own it is because it's number 1. Sorry, number 1 honorable mention. I don't own it because it's not released yet, but I have played it. I played a tabletop simulator version of it.
Cheater!
Yeah, I know. That's why it's an honorable mention, not an actual version of it.
I think I know what it is.
Take a guess.
Is it for, what are they, level 99?
It is from level 99. Bullet, yep. Yeah, I can't wait to get my copy of Bullet. I've been anxiously waiting. It's in production right now. Yeah, fairly soonish. I feel like Dice Throne and Bullet, hopefully I'll have before the end of the year, which would be amazing if I do.
Hopefully. I'm giving them a little bit more give and take. I'm thinking it'll probably be closer to January when we get
early
Bullet,
next year.
because I'm also a backer on Bullet.
Yeah, I enjoyed it really well when I played it. It was fantastic. Now, granted, I played it with the designer, and he's a good guy, and I like him, but one thing I like about this designer, when I went up to Albuquerque a number of months ago, his name is Josh. He works for Level 99. He's an awesome guy, and he's the designer of Bullet. And I was hanging out with him for a bit, and one thing that I've always appreciated, because he's play tested my games before, is he is 100% honest with me. He will tell me if he does not like a design. If he is like, this, I don't like this.
Hey, what are you trying to say about us?
You are too. But I get a lot of guff for it right before I convince you to play the game. He doesn't give me that, so good on him. No, he plays some of my prototypes, but he is 100% honest. And some people would take that to offense. I don't personally, because I appreciate the honesty. It's like, no, this just didn't meld with me. I don't like it because of this reason. And and so I reciprocate that. I tell him, look, if I don't like part of the game, I'm gonna tell you. Like, and he knows that it's not me being a jerk about it. It's me being I don't like it, and this is why. And when I played Bullet, he felt my enthusiasm, and he knew how real it was, because I was like, man, this is just genuinely fun. This is super cool. It's like a Euro game made for Ameritrash gamers. It's really smart. If you
it looks really good. It's got an interesting kind of anime-ish theme on it, not really, but that's level 99. Their influence is in that aspect. It's really good to look. I haven't played it myself, but it looks really good. I'm backed it for that reason.
Yeah.
So I think I agree with you. It's something I'm looking forward to, and I will own it soon.
Yep. There we go. So Bullet is my last honorable mention. Yeah. All right, let's go into our actual lists now.
All right. These I've titled the best games I've played that I don't own but really, really want.
Yeah, exactly. They are all ones, all 3 of these on my list are ones that I have played, I have been wanting to buy for, I think the newest one I played probably about 2 years ago, and it's I think 3 years old. Excuse me. That's the newest one. and I've been wanting it since I've played it.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. I plan on doing that as well. These are games that I want to own somewhere down. In fact, two of these games on my list or on the Christmas list my wife made me make her.
Yeah. Yep.
One of them isn't because I want it and I might buy it before she gets a chance to buy it for Christmas.
Yeah, I'm gonna switch my order on these. I actually had them in the wrong order, but yeah, you're gonna see why they're on my list, and yeah. Anyway, shall we? Let's do
Yeah,
it.
we shall. My number 3 game on my list here is one I know you don't really care much for, but for me, as a Star Wars geek, I want to get this game. I really do enjoy it. I had a good time playing it. And
Are
can you
you
guess
saying
what it
I'm
is?
not a Star Wars geek? Hold on. Are you saying I'm not a Star Wars geek?
Yes, you're a
Okay.
Trekkie. Let's not deny this.
I'm probably more of a Trekkie, yes. I do really like Star Wars though. All of the movies I've enjoyed. Um I'm not super fanboy into it. But yeah, I'm thinking Outer Rim.
Yes, it is.
Yep.
I love this game. I really enjoy Star Wars Outer Rim. I love Star Wars. I've really enjoyed almost every Fantasy Flight Star Wars game that they had put out.
Oh yeah.
Except for Rebellion, because I haven't played it yet. It's still sitting on my shelf of shame. I do want to get it to the table, but everything I've heard about Rebellion itself is that it's best at 2 players.
Okay.
But with Outer Rim, I really do enjoy it. Gives you that, like, if you want to be a bounty hunter, you can be a bounty hunter. There is luck base because it's an Ameritrash game. It's Fantasy Flight. You gotta expect it when you're playing a Fantasy Flight game.
Yeah.
But it's pick up and deliver with a twist, as I put here, because it is. You don't necessarily have to. Hey, I'm going to take this cargo and I'm going to go to this place. It's going to be like, hey, I'm going to go fight this, grab this bounty, and then take it over here to these people, and then I can work with the Hutts, I can work with the Empire, I can work with the Alliance. You can figure out how you want to do something. If you're really, really good with one faction, the other factions may not like you. If you get really, really low, if you increase, like say with the Empire, you decrease with the Rebel Alliance. So yeah, I find those little nuances very intriguing because it does feel like a Star Wars game in space, where you're just being bounty hunters. That truly what you're doing is being bounty hunters.
Yeah.
You have your people in there. You got your Boba Fett's, you got your Trestorians, you have or Boss in this case. You have those characters in there, and you can get into, hey, this is who I am. You got your Han Solos, you got your Lando Calrissians. I enjoy it. I really, really enjoy this game.
Okay. Yeah. I'm glad you do. Yeah, you're right. I didn't care much for it. I didn't mind it though. I just yeah, it was okay. I'd play it again. My number 3 is a game that I believe our mutual friend Bryce owns. It is a big, grandiose game. It was not a Kickstarter, though. And they are currently on version 3 of it. And it's... Yeah, you're looking around. It is a programming game.
Wait. What do you mean the version? Oh, you mean the third print run of it?
No, version 3 is what they call it. I don't know.
But it's basically a third print run, because
Yeah,
I don't think they
pretty
changed
much.
any of the roles.
I don't think so
Mechs
either.
versus Minions.
Mechs vs. Minions, yeah.
This was on my short list. It really was.
I've been wanting this ever since I played it that once. It's a really smart game. I enjoy it. And just recently the wife was like, yeah, go spend X amount of money. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I already know what I'm going to go buy it. And I went to the Mechs vs. Minions website and I was like, okay. I'm not ready to pull the trigger yet. and I ended up waiting. And then I'm glad I did because a couple more Kickstarters popped up. So I ended up putting the money towards that. But I was this close to buying it. And so yeah, that's the newest game on my list. And probably the one that most people have heard about.
Yeah, no, I really do enjoy this game. And what's interesting, it's coming from a company that isn't a board gaming company.
Right.
It's a video game company.
Yeah, exactly. They just so happen to make the board games. Now their new game doesn't look so great, but it looks okay.
It doesn't look too bad. It's not something that really intrigues me, but yeah, they've done a phenomenal job with this game. I do enjoy it.
Yeah.
It is so well produced too.
Yeah.
But mind you, it's coming from video game money, but it is so well produced.
Yeah. And also, I think one of the reasons why I haven't pulled the trigger on it is because it's one of those investment games where you're gonna want to play it with the same group time
Yeah,
after time
there is
again.
a time investment because you got what 10 scenarios in the box.
Yeah, something like that. And so
Yeah,
like I can't help but feel that since I have so many of those and like I just started Gloomhaven with my son, I it's hard for me to justify owning it because I can't guarantee I'll play it.
no, I get it. I understand. It's one of the reasons why it was on my short list. It's like a mutual owns it.
Yeah.
I want to play it again, but oh great, I think we just. All right, cool. No, we're all good.
Just to clarify for our viewers,
Just so
Daniel has
people,
been
our
having
viewers and our audio listeners, I'm having a little bit of internet problems. I don't know what's going on. So.
yeah, but it seems to be working mostly. All right.
Yeah, but yeah, Max vs. Minions, phenomenal game. Just
Thank
not
you.
something I need to own.
Right. Which is why it's my number 3.
All right, so moving on to my number 2. I am going to go ahead and just give you one clue, and you could probably guess what it is just by this clue.
Monopoly.
No, I actually own Monopoly.
I know, so do I.
Stefan Feld.
Okay. A Stefan Feld that I'm assuming I own it because you've played it. Let's see here. A Trajan. You don't own
Yeah.
Trajan, right? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know why I had to look.
This is the one I was telling you about that I might just pick this up without, and that's why I didn't put it on my Christmas list to my wife, is because I really thoroughly enjoy this. I've always stated that Castles of Burgundy is my favorite film game. I consider Castles of Burgundy like 1A, Trajan's like 1B. It's right there.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoy Trajan. I love that the fact that there's so many ways to win. You can concentrate on being militaristic up at the top area, or work in the Senate, or just do all these economic things. It's a phenomenal game that allows its point salad to its core.
Yeah.
But with a cool little rondel system that it has going on there that you like, okay, I'm going to move this, and this is the move I'm going to do, take the action this time. So you're trying to sit there and be like, or Mancala, I think is what it is.
Yeah. Yep.
Where you're sitting there and you're like, oh, which one do I want to move around for I could do that action?
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I do enjoy this game. I have a phenomenal time playing with it. And as with most fells, do not play this game with my wife. She will crush you. It take your soul.
Does she like Feld games?
She likes Castles of Burgundy. She enjoyed La Isla. She likes Trajan. She loved Trajan because she just whooped everybody at the shop when she played it there.
Yeah.
She was not a fan of Forum Trajano.
I still feel like I'm probably the only one who was. Like, everybody who I demoed that to was kind of like, yeah, I like it, but, like, that was kind of the response. I'm like, I really enjoyed it.
Any other designer other than Feld, I would have think it was a good game. But playing all the Feld games that I have, this one just didn't hit the Feldian spot for me. It's just like,
right.
It's fine. It's a fair game. Out of all the Feld games, it's probably at the bottom for me that I've played.
Yeah. I don't know. You haven't played It Happens yet, so it's fine.
I'm just saying, as of right now, that's what I'm saying.
As of right now. I'll bring that to our next game night, whenever that may be,
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? But yeah, Trajan, phenomenal game that I'm probably going to have to pick up. I still have some money that I can spend, so.
There you go. That's a good reason. My number 2 is a game that I think I've brought up before, but it was made back in the 60s, and it was a pretty grandiose production for the 60s, so nowadays most people probably wouldn't even publish it. I'm not going to make you guess, it's fine. It's a game called Astron, and it's the game where there is a clear piece of plastic over the board, and the board itself is actually a series, or it's just a roll of paper that's really long, and you're moving around this grid, and you're basically trying to, you're trying to go around the world, or in Astron, you go around the world and then you fly to the moon. And so you're all trying to do it, trying to avoid like storms and land on certain spots to get victory points. And like your card might say, move left 3 and move the map 2. And so
Okay.
you'd move left 3 spaces, and then you'd move the whole map 2 spaces. And so the map moves underneath the board because you're on the plastic grid. And so you're trying to basically shove your opponents into the storms and try and cause like all kinds of shenanigans and absurdity. It's not a good game, but it's so fun. And the
You
reason I don't
would pick these obscure, weird
Yes,
games.
yeah, because that's a game that genuinely I think more people would enjoy if they had a better version of. Like I wish one day Restoration Games would consider looking at that and then make a digital adaptation somehow. I don't know how, but I think that would be a really fun game if developed really properly. It would be phenomenal with a modular
Sounds
board like
interesting.
that.
It does sound intriguing, but yeah, I know
Yeah.
nothing about this game.
Yeah, it's
Only
super fun.
you would find these weird, obscure games that were made in the '60s and think they're good.
Well, like so to give it context, we played Astron after we played Power Grid with, and I played this with like a few like, I think the full gamut. I think it was like 5 or 6 players, and it was all heavy economic gamers, and they had it down to the dollar. Like the guy who won planned it perfectly. Like he knew exactly how much he could bid. He knew exactly which routes he wanted to take, and I was a far last place, and these guys were all neck and neck, like perfectly balanced, right? And and it was impressive to watch. It's one of those things where you're like, this is intense. Like these guys are the heaviest gamers I've ever played games with. And then as adults, we all busted out Astron, and we're giggling. Like it's like I just threw you in a storm, you know? Like it's so ridiculous. It was awesome.
The reason why I mentioned that is the whole, what is it, the 60 games that you find from the '60s and stuff like this. Weird
Yeah,
because you're the one that actually gave me Solo Ball, the
yeah,
game that was made in 1969 about making your own basically solo game
sure.
of statistics, of baseball statistics. You build a whole season, stuff like that. It's a fun game, but it's like, where the heck did you get this?
Yeah, where did you find? Yeah, exactly. And see, that's what I think. That's what makes it interesting because now there's the Kickstarter hype and stuff. Well, in all honesty, like I'm going to use an example of Acquire from Sid Saxon. He made that in the mid '60s. That game is legitimately a better game than some of the stuff coming out on Kickstarter that have like these grandiose productions and that like it's like oh, but I'm just rolling dice for combat. Well, who like okay, like that's fun and all, but like actual game mechanisms, like Acquire is actually a better game than that. Like you can't discredit it because it's from the '60s. Now there was a lot more garbage back then,
I
but
know there's a lot of garbage nowadays too. So
but there's more hidden gems than people realize, you know. So that should be a top 8 debate that we do, like top 8 games from like a certain decade. That would be cool.
yeah, the furthest we can go is the 2010s, maybe the aughts, because
We
I haven't played enough games from like the '70s or the '60s. I can think of maybe 2 games that I've played in the set from the '70s. Well, one for sure.
I was thinking maybe '90s, Catan, like that's when Catan came in.
So, funny story. I've never played Catan. At least I don't think I have. Oh no, no, I take
Yeah,
that back. I have played it once. I
yeah,
didn't like it. I
okay,
played our mutual friend Bryce's copy of it.
okay, interesting. Huh. Well, then we can still debate it then.
Yeah, so you got Catan. You got 8 other games from the '90s that we could do a top
Probably.
debate from.
You've played
Yeah, you
Bonanza.
would. I mean, you just mentioned a game from the '60s,
You've
so.
played Bonanza. Bonanza is from the '90s, I believe. It might be from the early 2000s. We'll figure it out. We'll look later. All right, but yeah,
Alrighty.
my number 2, Astron.
My number one, going back on topic here, is a game that was mentioned by our audience. Game I do not own, that is on my Christmas list that my wife asked for. Can you guess what it is?
A game that was
It
listed.
was it was mentioned in the comments
But that
by our
was more than
viewers.
20 minutes ago. Do I know that well?
It was mentioned a lot, and you just need to kind of look at a section of my shelf over here to kind of guess.
I gotta go back to the comments. Hold on. I mean, you have most of these. It's not Dwellings of Everdale, right?
No,
Uh,
haven't played it, so I didn't allow it on my list.
sure, yeah. Oh shoot, I don't know, man. Like that
All
legitimately, I
right,
don't know.
let's see here.
Um,
Action selection.
action selection, Puerto Rico.
No.
Uh, I
Is
know
that
it
even
wasn't
in our
listed.
comments?
No, it wasn't. Um, action selection, Kingdom Death Monster. I don't think is action selection. Empires of the Void. It's not Too Many Bones. You haven't played that.
This is quite interesting. Trying to see him figure it out what it is. You might actually
Anachronos.
assume I own it. I
I
don't.
might. Like, because I'm looking at these. I know you own Terraforming Mars. I know that's a big one for you. Uh, you don't own Nemesis, but you said how much you. It's not that big of a deal. Wait, oh, is it Scythe?
Yes, it
How
is.
did I not realize you don't own this? Oh,
Yes,
goodness. Well
my
done.
number one game is Scythe. It is one of my favorite Stone Layer games, as I mentioned about when we
Okay.
talk about Wingspan and stuff like that. I still think it's Viticulture, Wingspan, and I think Scythe is still number three for me. It was number two for a long while.
Yeah.
I do enjoy this game. It can be long. It does, especially if you're playing with the full six, like we did that one time. Oh boy,
Oh, yeah.
that was something else. But I do really dig this game. I have fun. I love the art with it. The mechanisms of the action selection I like, where it's like if you think villainous, where you're going to one section, you get to take the actions in that one section. Scythe does that as well, but it also has like stuff that you can do on top that can feed down to the bottom eventually halfway through the game, or like you're starting to feed stuff to that bottom to make it cheaper for you to start using it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I love this game. I have enjoyed every game of it that I've played. I've played a handful of games of this. And as I mentioned earlier, it's the first thing that went on my Christmas list that my wife asked for. I
Okay.
really have been trying to get this game. I just haven't pulled the trigger on it. Because, again, two of our mutuals have copies, so it's
Right.
kind of one of those things where it's just like, I want it, I really want it, but I'm going to play it mainly with them, and both of them own a copy of it.
Yeah. That makes sense. Okay.
But yeah, Scythe is my number one.
So, my number one is a game that I don't even think you've heard of. It's not super old, okay? But
I mean, you just pulled out a game from the 60s I never heard of, so why am I not shocked?
this one, it's from Matago, which is, they're a recent company, but it is out of print. And you can tell that by the Amazon price of $250,
Oh, Jesus.
which is why I don't own it. Um,
Hold on, let me check Amazon.
yeah. No, it was on Board Game Arena, which is where I first learned how to play it. It's a tile laying game. It is a game called Expedition Northwest Passage.
I have heard of this one.
Yeah, it is. It's a fun game. It's a tile laying game where you are laying down different kinds of glaciers, icebergs, um, and you have two ways of movement. Basically, you're trying to make a path through, but you have to either use your sleds or your boats. Your boats can only traverse through water. Your sleds can only traverse off of the icebergs. So you're all working off of this evolving map, but also the season changes and you have this disc that's half yellow, half blue, and it goes around the board as the season goes, and everything that's below the blue part is
Huh.
frozen. So you can't use your boat through it, and everything that's above the blue part I believe is melted. So you can't use your sleds on the icebergs on those. So you have to really kind of plan where your characters are going to be, how you're going to build the map, and when you should split up your team to try and get your, because I mean you leave your boat, you're not
Yeah.
just making a new boat. You have to know when is the best time to leave your boat and move to the sleds. God, it's so cool. It's such a neat game. I wish it wasn't like dumb expensive. It's out of print like crazy.
Yeah, I just looked it up on Amazon. Oh,
Yep,
jeez,
250
Louise.
bucks. That's the reason why it's not. I don't own it. Is I would absolutely own it. It's been on my Christmas list for probably about 7 or 8 years now. It was one of the first games. I got so much into Carcassonne, and I love tile laying, and this is a tile laying game, and that's what intrigued me about it first, and I've
No,
had it on my list ever since.
I have heard of it. It looks really interesting, but
Yeah.
yeah, ouch. I just looked at, like I said, I just looked at that price
Yep.
and I'm like, nope.
Yep. Nope. No thanks. Not
That's like,
today.
that's almost the price of a Nintendo Switch.
Yeah. Yeah. It's intense, to say the least. Yeah, but oh goodness. Yeah. Expedition Northwest Passage.
That's
100%.
a
I
good
want it on
choice.
my list.
That's a really good choice.
Yeah. And it's not a Kickstarter, so. And it doesn't have arbitrary cats for no reason. It's not like cats over the
uh,
Northwest
I was
Passage.
gonna say, well, 3 of my 6 games, but were honorable mentions or were Kickstarters. Scythe being, of course, one.
Yeah.
The other 2 were in my honorable mentions: The Reckoners and Rival Restaurants.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, my Kickstarters, Dice Throne and Bullet. So
Cool,
there we
cool.
go. This was a fun list.
I really enjoyed this. This was an intriguing topic. It
Yeah.
really was. So for our YouTube viewers or our audio listeners, leave a comment and let us know what are your favorite games that you don't own.
And why.
Yeah, make sure we add the why this time.
Right? We want to thank you all for tuning in. This has been fun. Thank you to all the contributors for making comments earlier. We make our posts in the Board Game Revolution forum on Facebook. That's the best group to go off of, where you can see and interact with us, or you can interact with us live. If you ever want to join us on a live episode, go to twitch.tv/everydayboardgames.
As well as you can find all the video re-uploads of these recordings on YouTube at Everyday Board Games Podcast 2020. I changed the name to podcast. This way it's uniformed on everything.
Fantastic. And if you ever want to contact us directly, email us at everydayboardgames2020@gmail.com.
You can also find us on Twitter at EBG Podcast. But, as I mentioned before, this is a podcast. You can find all audio versions found on most podcast platforms, which includes Spotify, Google, Amazon Music, and Podbean, and we are currently working on getting onto iTunes as well. And you can find that under Everyday Board Games Podcast.
So thank you so much for tuning in. I've been Daniel.
And I've been Daniel.
And we want to thank you for listening to the Everyday Board Games Podcast.
Have a good one.